There's news, there's sense, and there's nuisance. This show is all about that last bit. What a week of total heartbreak. Vinesh Fogart put up the greatest performance of all time in the Olympics. She defeated the undefeated, the world #1 champion. And then came a very cruel twist to the story. On the morning of her match, Vinesh was disqualified for being 100 grams overweight. In case you don't know how much 100 gram weighs, news anchors were there to help break down this very, very complex information for you.
This is the weight of half an apple or 5 slices of bread.
ये जो सेब मेरे हाथ में आप देख रहे हैं, ये छोटा सा सेब है, देखिए। इसका वजन 100 ग्राम है। 100 ग्राम इतना वजन होता है।
Just 100 grams. Just 100 grams. Less than what an iPhone weighs. Less than what a bar of Dettol soap weighs.
India Today even had a photo of a kela flashing on the screen.
This is the time to support the athlete.
Even the India Today panelists couldn't get what the point was.
I don't understand this keeping on showing bananas and apples and whatever to say 100 grams.
Yes, rules are rules. And even 10 grams more than 50 kg would have disqualified Vinesh. So it doesn't matter कि अमूल बटर की टिकिया 100 ग्राम की होती है या नहीं, या 100 ग्राम 1 केले जितना होता है या नहीं. What truly matters in this story is what Vinesh went through to make weight. Remember this term because you will hear this a lot. Vinesh didn't make weight on the day of the final match, and so she did not win any medal. She landed up in the hospital, dehydrated, broken, and announced her retirement from कुश्ती.
माँ कुश्ती मेरे से जीत गई, मैं हार गई. माफ़ करना, आपका सपना, मेरी हिम्मत सब टूट चुके. इससे ज़्यादा ताकत नहीं रही अब. अलविदा कुश्ती, आप सबकी हमेशा ऋणी रहूंगी. माफ़ी.
Vinesh, of course, has nothing to be sorry about. She will always be our undefeated champion. And as a country, we should be the ones apologizing to her. The entire country should apologize to you, Vinesh, for not understanding your struggle and saying absolute shit in your hardest moments.
100 ग्राम की वजह से वो डिस्क्वालीफाई हो गई, तो कितना महत्व है अपना वेट को, वजन को ठीक से रखना. तो हम लोग तो इससे ज़रा अच्छा सीख मिलना चाहिए हम सब कलाकारों को और महिलाओं को, सबको, कि 100 ग्राम also matters a lot. So we feel very sad for her. I wish she loses that 100 gram quickly. लेकिन मिलेगा नहीं अभी.
Guess what is less than even 100 grams? हेमा मालिनी की बुद्धि. यार आप बस आरो बेचो. Don't talk shit you have no idea about.
किट देता है सबसे शुद्ध पानी.
शुद्ध बकवास. You think Vinesh didn't know the importance of 100 grams that you're giving this gyan, totally unwarranted gyan? So yes, the entire country should be apologizing to Vinesh for trivializing her loss.
ये कितनी हास्यास्पद है, कितनी अपने आप में मजाक वाली बात है कि विनेश फोगाट जब गई होंगी प्रतियोगिता में भाग लेने के लिए, उस समय वजन हुआ होगा. जब क्वार्टर फाइनल जीता उस समय वजन हुआ होगा. सेमीफाइनल में हिस्सा लिया उस समय वजन हुआ होगा. अचानक ये 100 ग्राम ओवरवेट, एक गहरी साजिश है विनेश फोगाट के खिलाफ. 100 ग्राम ओवरवेट होना ये कितना हास्यास्पद और मजाक का कारण है कि उसके आधार पर आप अयोग्य घोषित कर रहे हैं.
अचानक से 100 ग्राम, क्या ये मजाक है? क्या ये साजिश है? इसमें कोई मजाक नहीं है. इनफैक्ट टू से कि अचानक से 100 ग्राम कैसे बढ़ गया विनेश का वेट, टू से दैट इज एन इंसल्ट टू विनेश's struggle. And most people, unfortunately, are still unaware of what she went through that day. All of you watching this show, at least, you must read this article by Jonathan Selvaraj to understand what happened with Vinesh on the most important day of her life. To explain it very simply, Vinesh's normal weight is about 56 kgs. To compete in the 50 kg category, she had to lose weight, and she did do that. On the day of her first match, her weight was 49.90. Remember, many wrestlers compete in weight categories below their normal weight for competitive advantage. They gain strength to fight the match, and on the day of the match, they have to make sure they make weight to qualify for their category. Wrestlers also call this vazan todna. Vinesh qualified by keeping her weight to 49.90 on the first day, and then she won 3 straight matches. But she also had to replenish herself to be able to fight those matches. Because आप सिर्फ weight maintain करके जीत नहीं सकते, आपको लड़ने की भी ज़रूरत है. You actually need energy to fight. She took some stuff to rehydrate herself and energize herself through these 3 matches. By the time Vinesh was done with her 3 matches, she weighed 52.7 kgs. Now by night time, she had her task cut out. The next day, she had to make weight again. That is, she needed to bring down her weight back to 50 kgs to qualify for the finals. Vinesh didn't sleep all through the night. She was on the treadmill for 6 hours and in the sauna for another 3 hours. She didn't consume even a bite of food or drink a drop of water. Every few hours, she stood on the weighing scale. The numbers were getting smaller, but not fast enough. In desperation, her coaches trimmed the elastic in the bottom of her costume. They even chopped her hair. But the scale didn't budge. When he stood on the scales, 50.1 it read. A day before, a North Korean wrestler had failed to make the weight in that same hall. He took off his underwear and stood on the scale and was still a few grams overweight. Finally, he stuck a finger into his throat and puked out the last few contents of his stomach next to the weighing scale. When Vinesh tried the same, nothing came out. Remember, she had not eaten anything, she had not drank anything. She stood on another scale in the faint hope that there was some error in calibration. It still read 50.1. She tried asking for a few minutes that she could find a way to lose those last wretched 100 grams, but just like the scales, the officials refused to budge. Rules are rules, they said. One important thing comes to mind after listening to all of this.
1 Dettol bar, that's all the gap that there was, 100 grams.
Not this, yaar. The important question is, if Vinesh's normal weight was around 57 kgs, why didn't she simply compete in the 53 kg category? That would have been easier for her. In fact, Vinesh has been competing in the 53 kg category because this weight cutting business was getting too tough for her over the years. In her first Olympics in 2016, Vinesh competed in the 48 kg category. Then she won the Asian Games gold medal in the 50 kg weight class. By 2019, she was competing in the 53 kg category and even won a bronze medal for 2019 World Championship. The reason why she switched from 50 kg to 53 kg category was to avoid the crazy struggle to cut the weight under 50 kg. So Vinesh chose to become a 53 kg wrestler. She even won a bronze at the 2022 World Championship in 53 kg. So the question comes to mind.
The gap, which is the size of strand of hair, how do we plug that gap?
Not this, yaar. The question is simple. Why didn't she compete in the 53 kg category? Because of politics and uncertainty in the Wrestling Federation of India. And that is something we need to talk about. All of last year, Vinesh has been leading the protest against WFI chief Brij Bhushan. All this while, she was also dealing with a knee injury. She didn't compete in the 2023 World Championship, where another younger rival, Antim Pangal, won a bronze. Because of Antim's win, India got a quota to compete in the Olympics. But Vinesh का point था कि quota country को मिला है, India को मिला है. We can decide who will represent India on that quota by doing internal trial matches. Back then, Brij Bhushan had stepped down and there was an ad hoc committee running the Wrestling Federation. They agreed for trials to decide who will represent India in the 53 kg category. But soon, the ad hoc committee was going to be replaced by Sanjay Singh as the head of WFI. Sanjay is a close aide of Brij Bhushan, and Vinesh felt that he would try and keep her out of Olympics. There was no guarantee that the qualifier for 53 kg category will be based on quota awarded to Antim or the trial matches. So Vinesh decided she'll compete in the 50 kg category also. This is what she said back then. I had no clarity about the 53 kg quota situation, whether there would be trials or not. Usually the quota is won by the country, but they had not held trials before. The ad hoc committee has said that it wouldn't be the case this time. I had no option but to do this because I have to participate in the Olympics. So, competing in the 50 kg category, was it really a choice? Was it even a fair choice for Vinesh? You decide. But her decision at that time was not alarming. Many wrestlers compete in categories below their weight, like I said earlier. If Vinesh had qualified, she would have fought Sarah, who had been wrestling in the 55 kg category a couple of years ago. Sarah finally won the gold medal, and she was asked how she managed her weight cut to 50 kg. So how did she do it? She said her weight cut process began all the way back in 2022. I knew it was going to be uncomfortable for a year, but it would make my job easier in 2024. Vinesh had only 2 months after her knee surgery to cut to 50 kg. So yes, Vinesh should not be sorry. We as a nation should be sorry. Because when champions like Sarah all over the world were focusing on wrestling, when champions were fighting to make it and make sure they make weight and were focusing on their craft, we forced our champions on the streets.
इतना मेंटल टॉर्चर हुई थी कि मैं मरने तक की स्टेज तक चली गई थी। मैं हर दिन खुदकुशी करने की सोच रही थी। क्या मैं अगर मेरे को कुछ हो जाता, मेरी फैमिली क्या करती, मतलब मेरे बाद कौन जिम्मेदारी लेता है इस चीज की?
During her protest, Vinesh had complained about the lack of facilities and help provided to wrestlers in international tournaments.
ओलंपिक में जो मेरे साथ हुआ था, मैं आप सबको पता है, मैंने इसमें डाला था कि मेरे साथ क्या क्या हुआ था। मेरे साथ कोई फिजियो नहीं था। क्या उस टाइम पे हम 4 महिला खिलाड़ियों के साथ में फिजियो जाना जरूरी था या अध्यक्ष जी का जाना ओलंपिक विलेज में जरूरी था? उनके साथ में जो हमारे विनोद जी सेक्रेटरी हैं उनका जाना जरूरी था, या मेरे साथ, या मेरी जो महिला जो 4 लड़कियां थी उनके साथ में कोई महिला फिजियो का होना जरूरी था? क्या किसी ने उनसे सवाल किया इस बारे में? मुझे दोषी ठहरा दिया गया। जब मैं वेट कम कर रही थी 2 दिन तक, कोई मुझे संभालने वाला नहीं था। मेरे मुंह में पानी की बूंद नहीं थी 2 दिन तक। ये लड़कियां हम आपस में रो रहे हैं कि ये मेरे को बोले कि दीदी क्या करें। मैं बोलूं बेटा मैं क्या करूं? ये लड़कियां जूनियर हैं, ये हमसे जवाब मांगते हैं कि दीदी क्या चल रहा है, ये आप लोग इतने सालों से कैसे सर्वाइव करें? मैं बेटा सिस्टम के साथ मिल क्या लड़ाई करें? हिम्मत कहाँ से लाए? आज ये हिम्मत मिली है तो यहाँ आए हैं।
You see, Vinesh's fight isn't just about those 100 grams, and it didn't just start at the Olympics. She had been fighting a much bigger battle for more than a year. A battle against sexual and mental harassment of wrestlers at the hands of coaches of the WFI and the chief Brij Bhushan Charan Singh.
बहुत सारे जर्नलिस्ट लोग जो स्पोर्ट्स को कवर करते हैं उनको पता है कि कितने पावरफुल वो है, कितने बार के वो एमपी हैं, पैसा उनके पास है, पावर में वो बैठे हैं, पावर पोजीशन पे बैठे हैं। तो हम एथलीट को मतलब यही कि वो पहली बात तो हमारे पास धमकी आती है छोटी छोटी चीजों के लिए कि आपको जान से मरवा देंगे। जान से बढ़ के तो
ये धमकी विनेश कौन देता है?
ये उनके जो खास लोग हैं उनके फोन पे
नाम लीजिए, मतलब फेडरेशन की तरफ से या फिर
जरूरत होगी मैं नाम लूंगी। जो कोचेज होते हैं वो खुद लड़कियों का शोषण करते हैं, महिला कोचों के साथ में बुरा बर्ताव करते हैं।
ये जो बात आप कह रही हैं विनेश शोषण वाली, ये आपके जानकारी में कुछ ऐसा आया है? नेशनल कैंप है, जूनियर्स का है, कोई सीनियर खिलाड़ी है?
नेशनल कैंप्स में जो कोचेज होते हैं सभी कोच नहीं है उसमें, लेकिन कुछ कोचेज हैं जो फेडरेशन के खास हैं, जो खुद शोषण करते हैं, महिला कोचों के साथ में गलत व्यवहार करते हैं। उसकी मैंने आवाज उठाई है इस बार, और उसके बावजूद भी वही चीफ कोच नेशनल कैंप में लगाए गए हैं।
अच्छा,
हाँ जी,
मतलब आप सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं?
जी, जो हमारे वुमेन्स कैंप में उनमें से कुछ कोचेज, सभी नहीं है, महिलाओं के साथ भी और लड़कियों के साथ भी, और वही लड़कियों से बात करवाते हैं और फिर अध्यक्ष जी उनके साथ में शोषण करते हैं। और पता नहीं हजारों तो नहीं, 100 लड़कियां,
एथलीट्स भी उसमें शामिल हैं।
यहाँ पे जो लोग लड़कियां बैठी हैं उसमें से 1-2 लड़की के साथ भी ये घटना हुई है।
When wrestlers wanted to get folding beds at the protest site to sleep, Delhi police said no need. Instead, they misbehaved and abused the wrestlers. So we as a nation need to be sorry for putting our wrestlers through this when the rest of the world champions were preparing for the game ahead.
अभी निखार थे, सब लोग बैठे ही थे, ना धो के आए थे। जैसे ही आए तो हमारे फट्टे आ रखे हैं सोने के लिए। इधर आप अंदर जाके देख लेना, पानी भरा हुआ, सोने की जगह नहीं है हमारे पास, किसी के पास भी। हम सोचे फट्टे मंगा के सो जाएंगे। फट्टे लेके आने लगे तो वो धर्मेंद्र जो भी है वो सीधा खुद अकेला, महिला पुलिसकर्मी नहीं थी, वो खुद धक्के मारने लग गया हमें। धक्के मारने लग गया तो फिर हम उनको बोलने लगे, तभी फिर वो अंदर की साइड घूम के आया था। अंदर की साइड में सामने खड़ी थी, मेरे को बैंड की गाली दी उसने। मैं बोली गाली कैसे दी? इतनी देर में पुलिस वाला दूसरा था, वो ड्रिंक कर रहा था, उसको अंदर पकड़ लिया, वो चला गया, वो छिपा दिया उसको। आप बता दो हम क्या करें? नहीं आप बता दो क्या करें? ये गोली ले रहे ना, ये बंदूक ले रहे ना, सारे मार दो, इज्जत तो हमारी छोड़ी नहीं इन्होंने।
While the PM last year was inaugurating the new parliament, जिसके हाल अभी क्या है तो आपको पता ही है, the wrestlers were being manhandled on the roads of the capital by the police. So, Sarah was preparing to make weight in the US and we were preparing Vinesh in street kushti. Meanwhile, the IT cell was in full flow. Her morphed images were circulated and put on the internet to discredit her. IT cell ka sardar and IT cell. They are the ones who should be sorry. While all this was going on, our TV news walas were busy questioning the wrestlers instead of standing up with them. सारे के सारे गोदी जीवी लग गए विनेश को डिस्क्रेडिट करने में, विनेश की स्ट्रगल की खिल्ली उड़ाने में।
क्योंकि अब शायद खिलाड़ियों का मकसद भी न्याय हासिल करना है या नहीं, इस पर अब डाउट हो रहा है कुछ लोगों को।
न्याय हासिल करना है या नहीं,
आंदोलन था भी क्या नहीं था समझ नहीं आ रहा था जो चीजें हो रही थी। खिलाड़ी भी बहकावे में आए और सिर्फ मेडल नहीं, इस आंदोलन को ही विसर्जित करने में लग गए।
एक अखाड़ा, एक गांव, एक तहसील की बात को लेकर इस देश में तूफान मचा रखा है। पॉलिटिक्स कर रहे हैं ये सब लोग वहां पर बैठकर। They are doing politics, each one of them, and don't support this kind of thing.
Wrestlers high. Meanwhile, when these same anchors managed to get in front of Brij Bhushan, उनके तेवर बड़े बदले दिखे।
और हमारे साथ एक खास मेहमान आज हैं ब्रिजभूषण शरण सिंह जी।
ब्रिजभूषण शरण सिंह जी।
तो ये सारी मशीनें आप इस्तेमाल करते हैं?
सारी मशीन इस्तेमाल करते हैं।
थोड़ा सा आराम से बैठ के ब्रिज जी।
बैठ करके करना, ये बैठ के लिए है।
तो काफी वेट है, आप तो ऐसे लगा रहे हैं जैसे।
नहीं, वेट तो बहुत कम।
Finally, in May, a Delhi court framed charges of sexual harassment, intimidation, and outraging the modesty of women against former WFI chief Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. The wrestlers, though, are yet to get justice. Do you guys remember these scenes? Sakshi Malik, Bajrang Punya, Virendra Singh Yadav, Vinesh Fogart, they all returned their medals and awards after Sanjay Singh became the WFI president. Fogart returned her Major Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna Award and Arjun Award. This is what she had asked the Prime Minister when she returned these awards. When we won the medals for the country, the whole country called us their pride. Now when we raise our voice for justice, we are being called traitors? Prime Minister Sir, I want to ask you, are we traitors? So, if you look at everything Vinesh has been through over the last 18 months, this year's Olympics performance was nothing short of extraordinary. It is we who failed Vinesh and we who should be sorry that our government and parliament is explaining how much money they spent on Vinesh.
भारत सरकार ने विनेश फोगाट की उनकी आवश्यकता के अनुसार हर संभव सहायता प्रदान की है। इनको पेरिस ओलंपिक चक्र के लिए कुल 70,45,775 की वित्तीय सहायता दी गई है।
Can any amount of money make up for the struggles Vinesh went through? Can any amount of money make up for how alone Vinesh has been in her struggle? This is what Godi Jivis should be asking. This is what they should have been talking about yesterday.
Even on a day like this, while the nation salutes Vinesh Fogart, the India Alliance tries to use her as a pawn to target Modi. देश के चैंपियनों के नाम पर राजनीतिक रोटी सेकना क्या मोदी विरोधियों की फितरत हो गई है?
पॉलिटिशियंस का काम है पॉलिटिक्स करना यार। तुम तो थोड़ी जर्नलिज्म कर लो। At least ask the right questions so that what happened with Vinesh is never repeated with any other player. We know who should be sorry in all of this.
इनकी कुश्ती खत्म हो चुकी है, अब ये कहीं मेडल लाने वाले नहीं हैं।
We know who should be sorry.
खिलाड़ी भी बहकावे में आए।
We know who should be sorry and it's not Vinesh. She will always be our undefeated champion.
भारत सरकार और भारत के लोगों को जीवन भर विनेश को वैसा ही सम्मान देना चाहिए जो एक ओलंपिक गोल्ड मेडल जीतने वाले खिलाड़ी को हमारे देश में मिलता है।
I do agree with Sudhir and I'm agreeing with Sudhir a lot these past few weeks. Last year he was among those anchors who were counting how much money was spent on Vinesh.
विनेश फोगाट को 5 करोड़ रुपए की राशि इनाम के रूप में अलग अलग सरकारों से मिली थी। इसलिए ये खिलाड़ी सरकार को इस राशि को वापस लौटाकर अपना विरोध जता सकते हैं।
But this year, Sudhir made a very important point that Vinesh will be a champion forever.
हमारे लिए वो हमेशा ओलंपिक गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट की तरह ही रहेंगी।
Good effort Sudhir चौधरी, लेकिन विनेश की तारीफ करते करते थोड़ा बहुत ब्रिजभूषण और मोदी सरकार पे भी बोल देते तो अच्छा लगता। Mark my words, if Vinesh was to relaunch her agitation against WFI and Brijbhushan, you know whose side all our Godi Jivis will be on.
पता है ना आप सबको, नहीं पता है, कहाँ पता है।
इन लोगों का बस एक फॉर्मूला है कि बीजेपी पे कोई सवाल उठाए उसको बस डिस्क्रेडिट करने का। प्रोटेस्टर्स हों, फार्मर्स हों, स्टूडेंट्स हों, विमेन प्रोटेस्टर्स हों, स्पोर्ट्स विमेन हों, जस्ट डिस्क्रेडिट देम इफ दे आर रेजिंग देयर वॉइस अगेंस्ट द बीजेपी। और अब ये फॉर्मूला हर जगह लागू होता है। इट्स बिकम एन इंटरनेशनल फॉर्मूला।
A few years back, I coined the word Tukde Tukde gang, Saurabh, and I believe that today Bangladesh's Tukde Tukde gang has taken over.
Arnab Goswami reduced the entire happenings in Bangladesh, everything that's been happening there for the past many months, to Tukde Tukde narrative. So lazy यार। As always, टुकड़े टुकड़े के साथ साथ अर्नब ने इस खिचड़ी में CIA, इस्लामिस्ट, राहुल गांधी भी डाल दिए, जॉर्ज सोरोस का तड़का भी दे दिया, चाइना भी डाल दिया।
Sheikh Hasina, the democratically elected Prime Minister of Bangladesh, has been removed by the American deep state forces. My question to Rahul Gandhi is, do you want this in India? The Americans didn't like it, the Chinese didn't like it. This is what they have done. It's not a student protest, it is a radical Islamist protest. As the Islamists, the jihadis take over, the Pakistanis are celebrating. This is what Pakistan wanted. This is no revolution. It is an America-sponsored military coup. Are you owing everything you have only to George Soros and the Americans? Bound by their hatred towards the Hindu community, the ISI and the Jamaat-e-Islami have conspired with the Americans to overthrow a democratically elected government in Bangladesh.
Baap re baap. What a mother of all conspiracies. The US collaborated with China, who's otherwise their top enemy, but the two countries came together to bring regime change, to bring Islamists, because both US and China love Islamists. And Rahul was controlling all of this with the help of George Soros.
एक्स्ट्रा 2AB मिलता है कि नहीं मिलता है?
मिल गया extra 2AB. ये geopolitics है या race 4 का plot?
This man gives us so many moments, doesn't he?
Now, Bangladesh is a very complex country with a very, very complex history. There are multiple actors at play here. Under Sheikh Hasina's rule, the country did see stability and even economic growth. But last few years had been quite bad. Number one reason why they were bad was because Sheikh Hasina was cracking down on journalists, opposition parties, critics, basically anyone who was not saying, Wah, Hasina, wah. The latest elections in Bangladesh were a total sham. The second reason why things were so bad was because of terrible levels of unemployment. So there was anger and upsetness with Hasina. And then came student protests for the removal of a freedom fighter quota in civil services jobs. In this agitation, close to 300 people died, and I'm undercounting this. Hasina deployed crazy amount of force on students. Her Awami League student leaders were seen shooting people point blank on the streets. When things became really hard to control, there came a rollback of quotas. But by now, students wanted her to quit because they had seen people being killed mercilessly. The Jamaat-e-Islami and Bangladesh's principal opposition party also joined in the second round of protest. Now, all of them wanted Hasina out, and she finally had to flee. The day she fled Bangladesh, we had some crazy scenes all over our television news screens. Indian news anchors were busy tracking her flight.
Let's just cut across to this image right now that you see on your screen. This is from Flight Radar 24. And that's the aircraft. It bears the call sign Ajax 1431.
নাও নামতে পারেন, তিনি লন্ডনে উড়ে যেতে পারেন। বিভিন্ন রকম তথ্য আসছে। এই মুহূর্তে জানা যাচ্ছে যে বিকেল 5টা নাগাদ দিল্লিতে নামতে পারে শেখ হাসিনার।
ये हेलीकॉप्टर आकर अगरतला में उतरा 20 मिनट के अंदर। यहां से उड़ान भरी है अगरतला से और फिर हिंडन उतरी है आकर गाजियाबाद के हिंडन एयरबेस पर, और फिर बताया जा रहा है गाजियाबाद में ही शेख हसीना है।
Meanwhile, protesters stormed into Hasina's house and stole fish from her fridge. The revolution will be fried. There was also a goat, a duck, and a rabbit. If that was not clear enough, here's Saeed Sohail explaining it clearly.
शेख हसीना के घर से मुर्गे उठा लिए, देखिए, बतख उड़ा कर ले गए, जो मिला सब घर से उठा कर ले गए। देखिए जरा, मुर्गा रखा था, लेग पीस खा रहा है ये शख्स, लेग पीस खा रहा है, वीडियो भी बना रहा है।
গণভবন ড্রিম ছিল জয়েন্ট খাবো।
What he just said there was that it was my dream to have a joint in the Prime Minister's residence.
जब तक जियो गांजा पियो.
The initial jubilation of removing Hasina soon disappeared. After Hasina's fall, Hindus, minorities like Ahmadiyas, and Awami League politicians were being hunted out, attacked. The hope the youth protest showed in bringing down an uncaring leader is quickly morphing into an ugly revenge story. Bangladesh now has two options: either give in to radical forces and have another elected regime that again cracks down on people, or take a genuine shot at democracy. Right now, the situation can go in any direction. Let's listen in to a Hindu student from Bangladesh on what's happening there right now. Thank you for joining us. I know it's a very, very difficult time for you. Bipra, you're 21, you're studying, and you were also part of the protests in Bangladesh. So just tell our audience, why were students protesting, and what would you say to people in the Indian media who are saying that students were CIA agents, or they were propped up by Jamaat-e-Islami, or it was not an organic protest? So just tell our audience what really happened with students' protest.
So the students' protest, as many of you might know, started off as a quota reform protest against the 30% freedom fighter quota that was actually being used to benefit the Awami League, the former ruling party. So now when that happened, students, it started off with students who were government job aspirants at first, but when the Prime Minister insinuated that students were Rajakars or traitors, it was when students all across the country came in and protested it.
So Razakar, just for our audience, it's a very pejorative word, right? It's a very big insult in Bangladesh.
Term. Yes. So when students were called traitors, that's when students started pouring in thousands in Dhaka University. And when that happened, the night after that happened, protesters were attacked by Awami League goons, the Chhatro League, which is the student wing of the Awami League. That happened, and that's when basically the protest erupted into a national outrage. And that's when we expected the police to do a better job, but the police sided with the dictatorial regime and teamed up with the Awami League goons and shot at the students. Students died as a result of police firings. And since countless students died, and even after the court got rid of the quota, and the quota was reformed, by then it was too late for any kind of discussion or any kind of peace, because so many students had already died that we did not feel that this government actually cared about students. And we felt that we as students, we as fellow protesters of those who died, must do better. We must not let the people who have murdered them stay in power. And that's how the protest became a one-point demand protest, that Sheikh Hasina immediately steps down, and that's what it resulted in.
So what would you say to those who are saying that the Jamaat-e-Islami propped up the whole protest?
I would want to say that Jamaat-e-Islami did nothing. Jamaat-e-Islami and other right-wing parties in the country did nothing till they saw that the protest was gaining momentum. That's when they joined in. So the protest started off without them, and they wanted to take advantage of it. They joined the protest the moment they realized that the protest had the power to topple the Hasina government.
And that's when they joined. So as a student who protested and saw this movement, what did you feel about what happened immediately after Hasina left? We saw lots of scenes of people in the palace roaming around with the sari. We saw people destroying statues. How were you feeling then?
I felt, so when Hasina stepped down, it was a moment of happiness for all of us. And people all across the country were very happy. And I think it was a lot of excitement there. But then things started to, the images that poured in, things that started happening were a bit ugly. Because even in the palace, even in we say Gana Bhavan, there were animals. There were a lot of animals in the Prime Minister's residence. Those animals were also victims of a lot of cruelty from the people who stormed in. So things got ugly, and a lot of a lot of other opportunists started breaking down all kinds of sculptures in the country, and a lot of vandalism happened. A lot of shops were broken down, a lot of offices broken down. So things started getting out of hand, and it was disheartening to see that. And a lot of people started saying that this is the immediate effects of this is not what the students who died for, basically.
Now, Bipra, you're a Hindu. You're a member of the minority community there. We're also hearing disturbing news of Hindus being attacked, minorities being attacked. How unsafe do you feel? Are you worried about your relatives, your families? And why are these attacks happening on Hindus and even minorities like Ahmadiyas in Bangladesh?
So I personally, when it comes to safety, I do not feel safe. That is true. My family and I do not feel safe. We are living in constant fear. We are gripped with fear and uncertainty. And the same goes for my relatives all across the country. And to be very honest, any Hindu person right now in our country does not feel safe. That is because across 27 districts in our country, attacks on Hindu communities have happened. Hindu temples have been vandalized. Hindu businesses have been targeted and broken down. Hindu businessmen have been threatened. And all of these things have happened. And now that I don't know why this is happening. This could be because the members of whoever remains of the previous government, whoever remains are orchestrating this probably for some political gain, or it could be members of the other right-wing groups that are historically known to be oppressive towards minorities. We don't really know. And to be very honest, most Hindu people right now, we don't really care. We just want this to stop. We just want Hindu people to be to stop being targeted. That's all we want right now.
What would you want India's role to be in this? Because in the Indian media, we are talking a lot about how Hindus are being attacked there. It's become a very political point of discussion in India also. How would you want India to behave in this? What interventions would you like from our side? And how would you want Indian media to report on what's happening in Bangladesh?
So, as for Indian intervention, most Bangladeshi people do not want it. Most Bangladeshi people, including many Hindus, do not want it. It's true that we are in a situation, we are in dire need, but we also want to let you know that we are capable of handling this ourselves. Also, what we want to what we actually need is genuine sympathy. And we don't want to be political pawns. We don't want to be political pawns. We want genuine sympathy. We want genuine help. If they can genuinely help us, that's good. But what we don't want is being used for political gain. The Indian media, I think, could have done a way better job at reporting this. They have exaggerated a lot. And this exaggeration has worsened the plight of Bangladeshi Hindus, because when this happens, when this exaggerated news has gotten out and so much sensationalization of this vandalism on Bangladeshi Hindus has happened, what happens is when genuine victims voice their concerns, when genuine victims say that these things are actually happening to us, what happens is that the general Bangladeshi people who are already on edge dismiss this. They try to they try to downplay this. They're like, this is Indian propaganda. We will not fall for it. This is India's attempt at dividing us, at sabotaging us. So, and that has created an environment of mistrust, an environment where Hindus in Bangladesh do not feel safe and protected. So, I think Indian media has done more bad than good for Bangladeshi Hindus by this exaggeration, and this has worsened the situation for us.
So you're saying the sensationalization of attacks on Hindus in Bangladesh and using it politically is only damaging the cause of the Bangladeshi Hindus further. It makes their lives more difficult. You know, you're a young person who protested. A students' revolution, led to the toppling of a government. What is your hope for your country? What do you really hope happens next?
I hope that, to be very honest, personally, I hope that none of the old political parties that have been historically known to be corrupt, that have been historically known to be oppressive towards minorities, and not just Hindus, every kind of minority, the indigenous community in Bangladesh, known to oppress those groups, I hope they don't see this as an opportunity to fend for themselves again. I hope that we actually find our voice, young students, young people in Bangladesh actually find our voice in the government. I hope that things change for the better. I hope that there comes a day that Bangladeshi minorities don't need to be protected by anyone, Indian media, Indian government, by people inside the country. We don't need protection. I hope a day like that comes.
I hope so too, Bipra. Thank you so much for talking to us, and I really truly hope that things become better for you guys as soon as possible and there's at least normalcy in the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Every country should be judged by how they treat their most weakest people, by how they treat their minorities. So in the coming months, Bangladesh will be judged by how it treats its minorities and also how it treats the opposition party, the party that's now going to be in opposition, the Awami League. Meanwhile, Indian news anchors like Chaman Chopra, who are so worried about Hindus in Bangladesh, very good job. You should raise your voice. But please don't go all mute when shit happens to minorities in India. That's all the nuisance we have for you this week. We'll be back next week. Until then, stay mad. That's the only way. Don't forget to log on to newslaundry.com and read some of our pieces on Bangladesh. We have 2 very good analysis pieces that explain everything that's been happening in Bangladesh in a very good way. So check these 2 pieces out. Remember last year when the wrestlers were protesting, we covered their protest 24/7. You can check out all our coverage from last year on our YouTube channel. And remember, we were able to stay committed to principles of truth and justice because you guys support us. You pay to keep news free, which is why we are truly free and we can raise our voice against injustice. Log on to newslaundry.com, subscribe to News Laundry so we can continue to do the work that we do here. We have a new NL Sena project up on our website. Srinivasan Jain is going to be traveling to Israel and Gaza to bring you the truth about everything that's been happening there over the last 1 year.
Early minutes of the Hamas invasion at the site of a music festival where nearly 260 people were killed.
Israel's response has been swift. Thousands of airstrikes.
It will soon be a year since Hamas's October 7th attack, triggering the Israel-Gaza war, the worst the region has witnessed in decades.
Israel will fight until we destroy Hamas's military capabilities. That's what total victory means, and we will settle for nothing less.
The conflict has extended beyond the battlefront. Its ripples felt across the world, making it the story of our time.
Ismail Haniyeh has been killed in Iran.
President Biden will meet with his national security team as fears rise over an Iranian attack.
Yet, the Indian mainstream media has scarcely reported on this story. I will travel to Ground Zero to bring you the reality of the war and to cut through the conflicting narratives surrounding it. But we can't do this without your support. Support this News Laundry News Minute project by contributing to Gaza 1 year later. Go to newslaundry.com/Sena and help us examine the multiple dimensions of one of the biggest stories of our time.
Check out our NL Sena project, contribute an amount that's convenient to you, power our reportage, and help us send one of the best television news anchors to Ground Zero to bring you authentic reporting from the most deadliest of conflict zones in the world. Need I say again, please support News Laundry. With your subscription, you can also read excellent reportage pieces like this one by Nidhi Suresh, a detailed account of a sexual harassment case that rocked the entire Kerala film industry. Do read it, it's thoroughly reported, and remember, do pay to keep news free.